Welcome to Moments with Marianne. I'm so delighted we're spending this time here today. We have a very inspiring show coming right up with two very special guests. Our first guest today is Kathy-Callahan, and she's here to share with us her new book, 101 Rescue Puppies, one family story of fostering dogs, love, and trust. How much fun does that sound? Now, Kathy is a certified professional dog trainer, and she loves to coach people and their puppies into a great pack life. Her family has fostered 175 and counting rescue puppies amid their own furry pack. So let's welcome to the show, Kathy-Callahan.
Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
What an honor it is to have you here and to talk about this book. So I've got to ask you, what inspired you to write this book?
So, the truth is, it was honestly just too good not to share. The stuff that was happening in our house was too big, and I just needed to capture it. At first, I really kind of thought that I was just writing it for myself, for our family, really, just to make sure we didn't forget. But then, what happens is when I post all of these rescue puppies who need homes up on Facebook and Instagram. And I started realizing that a lot of people who had no interest in actually adopting a dog were, in fact, obsessed with watching the journey of these puppies as they came into our house, got all loved up, got all healthy, and then got sent off to their forever home. It's just a happy story to follow. And so realizing that people were enjoying following that made me realize, maybe there is a wider audience for this kind of book.
So when did you first develop this love for puppies?
Truly just my whole life, I have been drawn to animals of all kinds. And so right now I happen to be, the thing that works for me, the thing that's an obvious need and something I'm capable of doing is the puppies. We certainly I've had, my husband and I met over our dogs, and we've been married 25 years now, and we have always had, a pack of dogs, about 3 dogs. And so through that, I've certainly learned a lot about dog care and stuff. And then about 8 years ago is when we started fostering. And that was because we had lost one of our dogs. Just like, every pet owner out there, what that feels like. It just feels wrong in your house. And we weren't quite ready to replace her. Not that you can never replace a dog, but, we weren't ready to add somebody to our pack yet. And somebody suggested fostering. So we gave that a try. That was 8 years and 175 foster dogs ago.
Oh my goodness. Well, hey, congratulations. And what a huge impact you're making. And I think it'd be great to talk about a little bit of what fostering looks like, because I think people get a little confused by that.
Sure. So fostering is a key component these days of the whole animal rescue picture. So a lot of, there are maybe about 3,000, I think 3,400 brick and mortar animal shelters in our country. But there are maybe 3 million dogs that need to head into those every year. And so if you kind of do the math, that's probably not going to be enough space. So that's where private rescues come in. So private rescues will search through those overcrowded shelters that cannot possibly keep all those dogs, and they will pull them, is what they call it, and they'll take them to safety. So they will move them from perhaps a rural place where there really isn't a huge population looking to adopt, and they will relocate those dogs to a place where it's much more likely that they'll be able to find an adopter. So however, a lot of those private rescues don't have a place to put the dogs. They don't have the money for a brick and mortar place to house the dogs. So that's where people like me come in. So we offer up our homes for a while. It's a landing place. It's a place where we take in these dogs who are homeless, and we hang out with them until their people make themselves known in some way. And so we, sometimes there's work to do. Sometimes they are not in the best shape. Sometimes they are, just kind of poor nutrition maybe, or maybe there might be some little health issues. But most of the time they're perfectly fine. And so we just kind of pull them in, hang out with them, love them up, and wait around until we find the right match for them up here. So I'm outside of Washington, D.C., so that's a pretty highly populated area. So when I foster, there is no shortage of adopters near me. So that's it. People worry that if they're going to foster, they might end up with a dog that they kind of didn't mean to have for a very long time. And that just typically does not happen. Fostering for me tends to be probably an average about, 3 weeks or so, unless I take a litter, which I love having litters. And so that can be kind of a 2-month commitment. So if you take in a pregnant mom and she gives birth, and then the puppies aren't going to be adoptable till they're 8 weeks old. So that's a nice long stretch with one family.
Oh, who doesn't love having puppies around? Okay.
Exactly.
Well, and so when these different dogs are having any kind of medical treatment, that's usually something that's negotiated with who's doing the fostering, right?
So when you are the foster, you can't just run to your local vet, your favorite longtime vet, and handle things, because happily you don't have to pay for the medical part of what's happening. And so the rescue is in charge of that. So what you do is, if you notice something that's up with your dog, you call your rescue, your contact there. And often, in my case, it's stuff that our rescue, it's a nice big rescue called Homeward Trails Animal Rescue here. And they've got vet techs on staff and stuff. And we have, cabinets of antibiotics and dewormers and things like that for all the very typical things that dogs need. So if it's a kind of layer 1 medical issue, we can just handle it within the rescue. But if it is something that a vet needs to see, we've got maybe 5 partner vets around the area, and they will, then I just have to let them know that I need to make an appointment with one of those vets. And then all the billing goes through the rescue, and I never need to touch a dime for the medical stuff.
Yeah, that's all taken care of in a sense, in many ways. And what a loving thing to be able to do is, help dogs and puppies who need a place to be, that just need that little interim place before they have their forever home.
I can't even tell you how lovely it feels to be part of this little circle of good, so it's just a little thing. It's not like I'm curing cancer. This is a very easy thing for that people can do. This is a thing I think sometimes I get a lot of credit for doing, this nice thing for the world, but it's a delight for me. It's so much fun. Our family has so much fun doing it, and we're set up for it. So it's kind of nice to stumble on something that can kind of make the world better. And it's well within your skill set. It's well within your grasp. And you end up feeling it. Also not only is it fun for us to do, but we get to see the best in everybody. So it opens up this little window on the world where all of our friends and neighbors want to come over and help out, and they want to donate supplies, and they want to talk to their aunts and uncles and neighbors about somebody who might be a perfect home for these animals. And then the adopters come in, and they're so delighted. And it's just a lovely little window onto a lot of good in the world. And it just kind of shifts your perspective when you do it day to day. It's lovely.
It really can be a perspective changer. Okay, so you started off, and there's something here I want to unpack. You talked about how, basically you're set up for this. So I understand that you've gone from fostering like a couple puppies to more than 100. How do you set yourself up for that many puppies, that many animals?
So we don't do 100 at a time. Your confidence grows, so when we first started, we live in a house that has a nice big yard, and we have a couple dogs and a cat. And we've had, when we started, our kids were 12 and 15. And so our household has always been set up for pets because we have pets. But we started fostering and realized that our pack is wonderful with guests. So our own animals, it is gorgeous to see our own animals welcome these temporary guests, and they can communicate in 5 seconds flat. You're safe. It's good here. In a way that humans really can't communicate that quite as quickly to dogs. But dog to dog, that happens in a flash. And that's part of the reason we're so set up for this, is that we bring in dogs that might be feeling a little timid, a little bit uncertain, bring them into our house, and our own dogs just set the tone from the beginning. Come on, you're good. Come on, let's go out. Let's go play. That is lovely. We're also set up just because we have this, we have a rec room in the basement that actually has a door to the outside. And so that is a perfect place for litters. So it's a little bit separate from the rest of the house. So a nursing mom with young newborns who just kind of wants to have a little bit of privacy from everyone else is down in this cozy rec room that has a gas fireplace. And when she needs to come and go, there's a separate entrance. So all that makes it much more easy for us. I have to say, when we first had, 10 dogs in our house, that first litter, that seemed an extraordinary thing. Now it's just no big deal. This weekend, we got a new litter, and I have a mama right next to me and her 8 6-week-old pups. And now our whole family is so used to this. We all know the drill. We all know how to do it. And it's crazily low impact to have these extra 9 dogs in our house. You just get better at it. Honestly, you just get better at it. You develop systems, and it ends up being quite easy and just so much fun. There's just, especially right now, there's nothing like animals to get you right into the present moment. And so, it's a stressful time here in this country right now. And so having the immediacy of nurturing all these dogs who are all living in the moment themselves just pulls you right in. And it is a wonderful way to kind of, it's a great mental health trick to foster a litter of puppies, honestly.
Well, you have to be in such a place of calm and just serenity yourself. And I think that's really interesting. In your book, you talk about spirit of the pack. And I'd love for you to share with our listeners what that is.
So that goes back to what I was talking about, watching our own animals, our own pack, welcome in these dogs who really need a welcome. And what I do feel is the presence of our original pack, which was when Tom and I got married 25 years ago. We ended up with 4 dogs together, and then we had our daughters, and that same group was together for about 6 years. Before obviously your dogs start to age and pass on, but that group gelled in such a way and created what feels truly like a unique spirit that our pack has that is wise and grounded and welcoming. And I sound like the crazy dog lady, I'm sure, but I just feel it every day at work in this pack. That spirit has gotten passed on from dog to dog as we have added dogs to our pack. And then I feel like these dogs spread that to these fosters who come in, and they come in and they relax into the spirit in this house, and it is it's just a lovely thing to see. And it's about kind of taking a breath and being grounded and being in the moment, and I just feel lucky to be a part of it.
That's so important. I have to tell you, I had a rescue dog, and when I first got him, he was a nervous wreck. And it took a long time to establish that rapport where he felt safe and trusting and all of that. Absolutely. So to have, the spirit of the pack, how awesome is that?
That's absolutely true. And honestly, I do love sending puppies to a house that already has a happy dog in it, because I do know that transition is super easy when there's another dog there who's got that mindset.
Yeah, that's happy and adjusted, and knows he's safe or she's safe. Well, so have you ever come across anyone who doesn't want a puppy?
So one of the chapters in the book does talk about this one sweet boy. So usually I have kids come through here all the time. Obviously, right now that has come to a close with COVID, but in normal times, I love to open up this house to folks so that they can all come in and grab a little bit of the puppy love here. And it's wonderful for the puppies um, to get socialized with kids. In particular, you want puppies to think kids are the best thing because that helps fend off any trouble later on. And so I like to have nice kids come in, hang out with puppies. We set up some rules, and then the kids honestly never want to go home. They all just want to stay all afternoon, which we often just kind of let them do. But there was once a boy who came with his mom. The mom they'd filled out an application. They were approved. They came over to meet the pups. And it was interesting. The boy just kind of avoided the puppy, came into the yard, was doing kind of everything but the puppy, was playing on the trampoline, playing with the swings, and just not reaching out to the puppy. And so we just kind of watched. I was talking to the mom, and then suddenly I heard the boy say, kind of from the corner, I'm just kind of worried about my cat. And then I realized that was his whole issue, is that he loved his cat, and he was worried about how his cat was going to do with the puppy. And that made me love this boy and realize that he was going to be an amazing owner because he's got that kind of empathy. And I was able to show him that particular puppy was best friends with our cat. They got along, they wrestled, they had the best time, they hung out together. And so once he saw that, then he was completely on board. And the two of them have ended up, it's the sweetest thing. I get pictures of them all cuddled together. It worked out great. That is one of the things that's just incredibly cheering about fostering, is that on any given day, I get a few emails or texts from people who, maybe I adopted out that dog to them 7 years ago, but they'll shoot me a little text about how much they love that dog. And it just, it may be a little thing, hooking somebody up with a great dog, but it feels big. And it means that I have all these incredibly positive connections with people who would have been strangers. And it's a weirdly intimate relationship. We've shared the same puppy. We've loved the same puppy. And I think in the world today, it's kind of hard. Man, people are having trouble connecting with each other and feeling good about each other. And this puts me in this incredibly lucky spot of feeling super close to all these people that otherwise I never would have even run into,
Sounds like such a perfect little community that people can establish within their own areas. They can, go and foster themselves in their own areas. And your book kind of helps people to look at the possibilities.
Absolutely. And this is the thing, like lots of, you don't have to jump in with both feet in your whole family the way we do and, take in 10 dogs at a time with a nursing mom. You can also, there's a fostering situation that could be right for almost anybody. You can, I always suggest that if you're just starting, you might want to look for a dog that was given up because of some reason like allergies or something like that, but had been owned in a home before. And then you've got an adult dog who is already housebroken and past the chewing stage and all that kind of stuff, and who's just kind of ready to join your little house and hang out. And that can be easy and really fun. And also that kind of dog will get adopted quickly too. Probably already has leash manners and all that kind of stuff. If you have a young, playful dog who always seems to have too much energy for you, fostering can be a lifesaver. You can, it's like they get a little slumber party for a few weeks. And often that situation can turn into what they call a foster fail, which is when you fail to adopt out the animal, meaning you keep that one. Because if you take in a wonderful foster dog who ends up being best friends with your dog, it's pretty hard to give that one up. And it's a great way to test whether you could be a 2-dog family. And it's a great way to test whether you can be a 1-dog family too. If you're just not sure what it would be like to have a dog, fostering is a great way to go about it. And even if you don't, you don't have to be a dog expert to foster. You just have to be honest with the group that you're fostering for, whether it's a shelter or a rescue, whoever it is. If they have a foster program happening, they're going to want to help you do the best you can because they want this to work beautifully. So the more you can share with them about your situation, what your level of experience, what you're worried about, what you're excited about, do you have a fenced yard? Do you have, what is grandma living upstairs? Do you have a toddler? The more you can share about your household situation, the better they're able to pair you with a foster who will thrive with you and not make you nuts. So I do think, there's a situation for almost everybody. And it's just a fun thing to try. And you may find that it's not really for you, but I think a heck of a lot of people would find, like us, that they get addicted to it. My best friend from college actually started fostering about a year ago, and she's on about her sixth dog now. Once you start it, it's hard to say no because it really is. It's just a lovely experience. It's lovely to reach out and help these little beings, and then help the people that they go on to.
So do you and your friend have like puppy wars to see who's got the most puppies at the same time?
So far, she's still doing the dip your toe in the water thing where she's just taking adult dogs who have been owned before and just taking them for a little while. She hasn't jumped into the litter situation yet, which I have to say I predict will happen any day now.
Oh my gosh. I'm sure once she does, it's game over. She's going to be doing that forever.
Right?
So.
Right. So true. Because it really is. There's something like right now down in my basement, there are 6 puppies lying around, making the cutest little grunts. And right now, actually, our whole family's home because of COVID. So Tom's working from home. Both girls are home. They're 20 and 23 now. We're all doing our own things on, remotely. But anyone who needs a coffee break just needs to head down to the puppy den and you just lie around with them. And it is delicious.
Oh my goodness. Well, and I love how, people are paired with dogs that will also fit their lifestyle for fostering. There's so many dogs out there that need a fostering home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Although right this tiny moment in time, it's very strange because we actually currently, right this moment, have enough fosters in our rescue group for all the dogs who are coming in, which never, ever happened. But that's because of COVID. So, there aren't many silver linings, but all of a sudden, people who wouldn't have felt comfortable fostering because nobody's home at their house enough are suddenly home enough. And this is a perfect family project for these times. If you're home more than you used to be and you just need a little bit of a pick-me-up or a little bit of a family project that makes you feel like you can, do a little bit of good. So much of what's going on, we can't do anything about. This is a tiny thing you can do that makes you feel like you're making a difference. And it is a psychic boost for everyone. Anyway, so right now, our particular rescue doesn't even need any fosters, which is just crazy. But I'm sure any listeners, if you call your local shelter or call your local rescue and say you're interested in fostering, I imagine you're going to get a big yes from that. And then they can just help you work through what might work for you.
That sounds so great. I mean, having more people foster, having more animals get adopted, I think that's just the way to go. I mean, there's so many beautiful animals out there that need loving homes.
Absolutely.
Through your journey, has there ever been a dog that you've just been like, gosh, this one's going to be a toughie?
To work with while we've got them, you mean, or to give away?
A little bit of both, maybe.
So the most challenging one that we fostered was this awesome little dude called Wilbur, who was a feral beagle, if you can picture that. So he had been living out in a junkyard with about 20 other beagles. What happens, sadly, sometimes is that people get these dogs to hunt with, and then when they're done with this season, they just let them go. And so you get a bunch of hounds and beagles that are just kind of out there. So this guy, I think he made his way to our rescue through a different rescue, and then he landed at my house, and he had escaped some other houses, and because we couldn't even touch him. He was, we had him for about 3 months, and we got closer by the inch, but the progress is incredibly slow with these dogs who are super skittish. So you have to have a ton of patience, and you have to not force anything, and you have to use every trick you have to kind of make them feel comfortable with you. The thing is, the thrills are tiny but huge. Like, they would look small to other people, but when they happen in your house, it is a giant cause for celebration. The first time they ever actually take a treat from your hand, or the first time they jump on the couch while you're on it, that kind of thing is just so rewarding. So that was our most challenging behavior one. He is now super happy. When I see the pictures of him in his house, he's a normal dog now. He is, he's in their laps. He's jumping around. He's turned the corner 100%. But that's unusual. I do not usually get the ones that have that kind of behavioral difficulty. That one was the hardest one, but also it is the most delicious story. The turnaround is just huge. He was so darling the whole time, but he just would stay, he would stay 3 feet away and sit there looking at you with those big, beautiful eyes, but just wouldn't come. So when he did, it was so rewarding.
He just wants to make sure he's safe and knows it's going to be okay.
Absolutely.
Poor little guy.
Absolutely. Just terrified, just terrified, having no good exposure to humans that way, just having no idea what was up. So it just takes longer to convince them that it's really going to be okay. Even with our pack, you would think that his seeing our pack draped across our laps and playing with us, well, maybe it did do wonders. I don't know. It certainly didn't convince him on day one, but maybe it did play a big role. I know he was happy with them. That's the thing. He had a great time. Even when he was scared of us in the beginning, he was having a ball with our dog. So that was just heartening to see that we knew he was really enjoying his life here. But we just needed to get him over the hump with people so that he could become adoptable.
Well, it sounds like the dogs that you foster get such a head start in having a healthy upbringing or a healthy environment that they're able then to move on to their forever homes and just be happy dogs.
That's what we're hoping. What we're hoping is to give them the very best start possible. And then I love to stay in contact with folks. Actually, I'm a trainer now. Oh, I was not when we started fostering, but you get so interested in dog behavior when you do this. And then I found that all of my adopters, we'd be in contact, of course. And then they would shoot me little questions like, hey, he started doing this, or how can I stop him from doing this? And so I got in the habit of reading up, learning a lot, giving advice, and realizing that is super satisfying. So I have become a dog trainer. So now I am much more qualified to give those answers, because even if you give them the best start possible, there needs to be a lot of follow through on the other end. But the thing is, our rescue does such a good job finding lovely homes for these guys that it just turns out beautifully.
That's so amazing. Yeah, it's such just a beautiful way of all that coming together, especially having the background that you do and fostering the dogs that get the best head start possible. My goodness, Kathy, we could talk for hours. That would be really easy. I'd love for you just to share with us, who 101 rescue puppies would be perfect for.
So I do, I didn't write it for 2020, but it seems like it is, it's perfect for anyone who needs a little bit of a lift right now. It is, first of all, it's easy to read. It's a bunch of beautiful pictures of puppies. So if you are a dog lover or a puppy lover, you're going to love it. It's also not too sad. A lot of the times I'm always worried about, animal books. If I think it's going to be too sad, I just don't even want to read it. This is, of course, there are a few times that they're a little bit of a medical problem, but most of these stories work out just beautifully, and gorgeous pictures. And it's short chapters. You can pick it up. A lot of people are telling me that it's become their go-to family read at night book. So they read a chapter a night. So it's a short little chapter with pictures you can read with your kids, or you can just go cover to cover in an hour and a half and just feel like there's still good in the world. So that's kind of, I just feel happy for having this thing I can share, because fostering has given us such joy, such peace, such good. And I feel like reading the book gives you just a sliver of that. And I love the idea that people are shooting me texts saying, I feel so much better. I just finished your book. That just feels so nice. So it's a great gift book for anybody, a gift for a teacher, for a piano teacher, for your neighbor who's sad, for your kid who wishes he was in school and not just sitting in front of a screen. It's a nice pick-me-up for people.
Well, Kathy, where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about your book and the work that you do?
So I've got a website, www.puppypicks.com. That's PUPPYPICKS.com. So you can find everything you need on there. I've also got, right now, if you want to go on my face, pretty much whenever you tune into me, I'm going to have puppies around. And so you can follow the journey of them on Facebook or on Instagram. And you can find my Facebook and Instagram on my website.
Well, Kathy, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, Marianne.
Well, thank you, Kathy. It has been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your new book, 101 Rescue Puppies, one family's story of fostering dogs, love, and trust. Again, if you'd like to connect with Kathy and learn more about her book, you can at puppypicks.com for more information. 101 Rescue Puppies is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and New World Library. Make sure to drop by their website and check it out. And of course, it's available on Kindle. So you'll want to stay tuned for our next special guest, Maryon Stewart, who's here to share with us her new book, Manage Your Menopause Naturally. On that note, we're going to pause here for a quick break. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne. We'll be right back after these messages.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
There comes a moment when you realize you're somewhere special, when you discover that each beautiful creature that you see has been rescued from a life of absolute horror and brought to this incredibly free place. Here's where their lives were forever changed and where yours will as well. Discover over 500 tigers, bears, and lions at the brand new visitor center at the Wild Animal Sanctuary just outside Denver. For more information, visit wildanimalsanctuary.org. Discover true freedom at the Wild Animal Sanctuary.
Have you ever had the sense that your thoughts might actually be doing something? Ancient secrets of manifesting have been masterfully revealed in the award-winning book Manifesting 123 by Ken Elliott. For the first time, the author's experiences and stories in this book describe exactly how your thoughts can create anything. You've been doing this all your life, but it's never been fully explained for you until now. Visit manifesting123.com for more information today. Manifesting123.com.
Welcome back to Moments with Marianne. We're here today with our next special guest, Maryon Stewart, and she's here to share with us her new book, Manage Your Menopause Naturally, the 6-week guide to calming hot flashes and night sweats, getting your sex drive back, sharpening your memory, and reclaiming well-being. So Maryon is an author of 28 books on health and well-being. A world-renowned healthcare expert, she has helped tens of thousands of women around the world overcome PMS and menopause symptoms without using drugs or hormones. In 2018, she was awarded the British Empire Medal and was recognized as one of the 50 most inspirational women by the Daily Mail. So let's welcome to the show, Maryon Stewart.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
What an honor it is to have you here, Maryon, to talk about this book. I just have to ask, what inspired you to write this book?
Well, I've been helping women going through menopause for 28 years, and we use everything that is based on published medical research to take them from being in a really bad place to seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, coming out the end, feeling the best version of themselves. And to be honest, I am so fed up hearing from the surveys that we've done on thousands of women that they regard menopause as the end of life as they knew it. And it just doesn't have to be that way. And I feel there's a big sense of injustice. And so I'm wanting to make sure that everyone has adequate knowledge so they can help themselves to better health in the long term.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you say that. And you even start your book off with welcome to the second half of your life, which I think is so important because it's so right. Women think they hit menopause and all of a sudden we're less than, instead of this being a natural stage that all women go through.
Indeed. And the thing is, I mean, it is a life stage. You're so right. And I think people regard it as an illness almost. And if you think about it, 100 years or so ago, we weren't living much past 50, so it didn't really matter. But for many of us, 40-something is just halfway, and so it matters a great deal. And we need to learn not just how to overcome our symptoms as we go through perimenopause and menopause, but we also need to learn how to future-proof our health for the long term so that we stand far less chance of getting things like dementia, osteoporosis, heart disease, diabetes, and so on, and we can stay well in the long term.
Yes, there seems to be a push for women to get on all these pills and all these regimens that sometimes you're like, wow, is this really helping? And I was so impressed with you have the 6-week natural menopause solution. I'd love for you to share that with our listeners.
Yeah, so how that came about, it's probably important to give you the background on that, because I'm from England, obviously, and I spent a lot of time in my clinic in Harley Street helping people on a one-to-one. So my program for menopause helped 91% of women be symptom-free within 5 months. And then at the end of 2016, I was in America because I married an American man, and I went to a course with a film producer, and she showed us how to make Facebook live films. And in those days, I knew nothing about Facebook or how to make a live film on your phone, which just seemed very scary to me. But I made 4 little films, and they were just really basic films. But within 12 weeks, over 1 million women saw those films. And I was inundated with the most awful stories of suffering. And I just thought about it, and I thought somehow I've got to convert my 5-month course, and I've got to put it into modules so I can teach groups of women how to manage their symptoms and just get out of this rabbit hole called menopause and do a U-turn and reclaim their well-being so that they can feel the best version of themselves. And so we put together a course. My little team came together and we put together 6 modules, so 6 weeks, and there's live bits of it and where you can come and meet me, get your questions answered. We write a tailor-made program for each individual woman. And even though they go through it as a community, there's all sorts of live aspects and tons of support. And so every week there's we focus on something different. We're on a journey to go from being in what I call economy mode, which is where life leaves us when we've had kids and we've been living life in the fast lane and haven't really known how to look after ourselves, and also having low levels of estrogen because our ovaries stopped working at the time of the menopause, through to having what I call a midlife refuel so that you can feel better than you can remember. And the thing is, we go downhill so slowly that we don't realize how far down we've gone until we come back up again.
Yeah, what a profound difference that makes, and just reading your book, I was just really astounded by, the practices that you put in place it's very doable for women, whereas a lot of times it seems like we're jumping through a lot of hoops.
Yeah, and I think also the research shows very strongly, if you take supplements, for example, very often they don't even contain what they say on the label. And so women are left in this terrible state. There was a Mayo Clinic survey last year on doctors and gynecologists showing that only 7% of doctors feel they're adequately educated to help women going through the menopause. And so women are left to fend for themselves. They're on Dr. Google, and they haven't slept. They've got brain fog. They're confused anyway. How are they supposed to work out what is the right thing to do? And so what I do, and what I specialized in all the years, even back to the days when I was helping women with PMS before menopause, is I brought together all the world literature and put it in a usable form. And we're doing literature searches all the time and adding all the new research so that women it just takes the guesswork out of it, and they've got the benefit of the information depending on their symptom set. They know exactly what to do, whether it's diet or lifestyle changes, how to consume naturally occurring estrogen. We just give them everything they need in order to make this transition and come out the other end feeling brilliant.
So what are some of the symptoms of menopause? So if our listeners are going, gosh, I might be in it, I might not, so they kind of have a sense of where they're at.
Yeah, you've got the obvious things like the hot flashes and the night sweats, and then people know that they're going through the menopause. But you've also got, on top of that, lots of symptoms. And women in perimenopause very often don't even know it's perimenopause. So, for example, they may not be able to sleep very well at night. They may be anxious and starting to have panic attacks and palpitations. In their premenstrual phase, they may be heating up and wondering if it's hot in here or is it me. They can have aches and pains and feel 90 before their time. Their brain fog is overwhelming. They can't think straight and they lose what they're saying in the middle of a sentence. They may fear that they've got early Alzheimer's, and they feel very isolated, not to mention the fact that in our surveys, 75% of women say they lose their libido during the menopause, and over 50% have vaginal dryness. And women don't even talk to their best friends about that.
Yeah, that's something that's usually they consider off the table when pretty much I would say most women are experiencing those kind of things from reading your book.
Absolutely. And the thing that makes me so sad is that they don't understand, for the most part, that they can overcome their symptoms and feel good again. Most of them buy into the fact that it's the end of life as they knew, and it's downhill from here on out. And it doesn't have to be that way. We see amazing transformations. That's why I put some of the stories in the book, because those women passionately wanted to share their stories. There's people in there. One woman who is Professor Jo Brewis, for example. I met her at a conference. She was one of the authors of the Government in the Workplace Review on Menopause in 2017. And I met her in 2018 at a conference, and she confided in me and said she thought she had early Alzheimer's. She was constipated, tired, achy. She had acne on her face for the first time in her life, and she was so afraid that she was going to have to leave work because she couldn't remember anything. She couldn't remember people's names or what she was saying mid-sentence. So I invited her to come on my program. And within the space of a couple of months, she was completely symptom-free. I mean, she now describes herself as practically a new woman. And instead of leaving the workplace, she's been made head of department at her university. And I want everyone to have this information so it empowers women. And they know that they can get themselves back into really good shape. They're not thinking of bombing out the workplace after competing all their lives with men and then being given a desk fan and an M badge. They need a solution that's going to get them right the way through this situation at menopause or perimenopause, even if they catch it early enough, and then come out the other end of it feeling that they're armed with knowledge and that they can stay in good shape in the long term.
Now, is it common for women who've been experiencing symptoms for many months, perhaps even years, that they can turn those around in a short period of time?
Absolutely. When I set up my 6-month course, my 6-week course based on my 5-month program, I thought in 6 weeks, all I'd be doing was teaching women the tools, and then they could put them into practice and help themselves. I was more astounded than anyone that even in 6 weeks, a lot of women are completely turning their lives around to the point where their flushes are gone, they're sleeping through the night, they're not getting up to pee in the night, they're not feeling anxious anymore and having panic attacks, they're not achy, their skin looks better, their hair and the nails look better. It is just unbelievable. And Mother Nature gives us all these tools, and it's all published in the medical research. So I just feel every woman on the planet has a right to this information. So I'm so delighted that this book is now available and that women can take all the guesswork out of it and just plug in to good sound information that can help them make an amazing transformation.
Yeah, I was pretty amazed by your book where it talked about how, we can really replenish our estrogen levels naturally with food. When a lot of times, you hear some, people are saying, hey, we need to take a pill for that.
Well, you can do both. And we tend to, on the program, I do a combination of both because the estrogen receptor sites within the cells don't stay full for very long. So we teach women, and in the book I'm teaching women, about how to consume naturally occurring estrogen little and often throughout the day so that they keep the receptor sites full. So they're doing that with food. And then at night we use a pill, which has been through clinical research and is standardized and helps to keep the receptor sites full in the night so that you're not waking up with awful night sweats every hour. And that helps in the beginning. So some people like to manage just with diet in the long term. Other people are living life in the fast lane and they prefer to have some supplements as well. But all the information's in the book, and I talk about all the science-based supplements so that women can go and choose the supplements according to their symptom set to take alongside the diet, and also the lifestyle changes, because they're all important. I actually describe my program as a pie. So you've got all these different sections and you need to have a bite of each to get the value and the benefits. And it's about making dietary changes, getting yourself back into really good nutritional shape. No one teaches us how to do that. The research, we've done 5 separate studies of women of childbearing age where we found between 50 to 80% of the women had low levels of really important nutrients like magnesium, B vitamin, zinc, iron, essential fatty acids, calcium, and so on. And then other researchers have now shown that billions of women around the world have got low levels of nutrients, and that affects your brain chemistry and your hormone function. So the first thing you need to do is learn to have your refuel, learn to meet your needs, and to consume naturally occurring estrogen. So you can literally fool your brain into thinking you've got normal circulating estrogen. And those hot flashes, which are really just the brain trying to kickstart your ovaries back into function because it doesn't get the fact that they're not working anymore, just gives up. It doesn't really need to do that because it perceives that you've got normal circulating estrogen. And then we've got exercise, relaxation. There's all the different lifestyle things that help you not just with menopause, but help you feel better generally. They help you have better gut health, better brain health, more energy. It helps you to feel good again.
It's amazing how much this impacts our complete system, because you talk about, insomnia and there's all sorts of different other, hot flashes and other things that happen. And, gut health is a big deal too.
Yes, in fact, our surveys show that over 50% of women are constipated at the time of the menopause, and that's something we don't really talk about either. But even in 2 weeks, we can overcome that just by using some minerals and flax seeds, and it has a miraculous effect if you've been constipated. And also the flax seeds are a rich source of naturally occurring estrogen. So it's a kind of there's more than one benefit from doing most of these things. It helps us on so many levels to get back to feeling really well. And at the end of the day, it's a bit like turning back your biological clock because you have much more energy and stamina. You've got much more clarity of thought. Your gut's working and the body is serving you well so that you can pretty much do anything you want to do when you want to do it and just turn the page and get on with the next chapter in your life rather than being plagued by these symptoms.
So do you have another story you'd like to share with our listeners about women who have reached out to you and worked with you and come out the other side?
Oh, yes. Well, I can go on and on. But I mean, when last year we were invited by an award-winning film company to make a series of films, and they invited 10 women who'd been on my program to come along. And honestly, when I heard them tell their stories, I'd forgotten how they were in the days when I first met them because I now know them as well women. But I actually sat and cried because they were talking about, there was one woman there who was a midwife who was talking about the fact that she was so depressed, she felt suicidal, and she'd been signed off work and had to leave the workplace because she couldn't function. She's back to being a midwife again and being very enthusiastic, teaching other midwives and just loving her life and her job. And there were, people from all walks of life, women who've had to be executives in the workplace or run their own business, who felt that they couldn't function anymore and they were deeply embarrassed, to women who are housekeepers and thinking that they couldn't go to work anymore because they couldn't even remember what they were doing. This is just, this is something, menopause touches every woman. They reckon that 80% of women experience symptoms at the time of the perimenopause to menopause. Only 20% of women seem to get off scot-free. So we just, and even if you don't have symptoms, you need to learn how to meet your needs for the longer term, because we're living so much longer than we've lived before. We want to make sure that we've got strong bones and a healthy heart, and that our brain is working well and our memory is in good shape, that our joints are lubricated and we can do all the exercise we want to do. So there are just so many reasons, apart from your self-esteem, your waistline. So we find on our program, for example, women lose weight without dieting. So it's not about weight loss, it's about finding the right balance for your body. And whereas when you get to midlife, your metabolism slows down, so you tend to pile on all these extra pounds around the middle, particularly. So we can turn that back as well, so that you can get into your clothes and just feel like you did 10 or 20 years ago, and get on with life, loving your reflection in the mirror, as opposed to feeling that your self-esteem is in the bin. Do you know? And that's and it's such a big deal, because women give so much, in my experience, all through their lives. They put themselves last. They're usually last on their priority list. Certainly if you're anything like me, I had 4 kids, busy advisory service, and I wrote 27 other books apart from this one. I didn't really do a lot for myself because I didn't have time. And I think that we get to a certain point in our lives where that starts to have an impact on us. And we've got to take a little bit of time out to learn to have this refuel and learn to meet our needs, so that we can go through the transition and come out the other end feeling good again. And I think every single woman owes it to herself. And I'm sure their families and their partners will be supportive when they come to understand that mum isn't cranky and this isn't the way she's turned out, to have PMS every day of the month. It's when they know it's a transition, and that she's just needing a bit of support to learn how to get through it. Very often partners jump to it, and kids do too, to offer support so that they can get through it as a team. And we definitely encourage that. We've done surveys on men as well, and men say that they feel rejected, they feel frustrated, and they feel scared too, because they find themselves living with someone that they don't really recognize anymore. It's not necessarily the loving person who was there for them or during their relationship. Because let's face it, if you get a hot flash every time you're touched, or if your vagina's so dry you don't want to go there, then you're going to be curled up on the edge of the bed hoping that he's not going to touch you, or she, or whatever. It's like you just don't really want to know. And so learning how to have this refuel reaches all the places. And in fact, the first study I ever read was published in the British Medical Journal on menopause. And it was a study that was done in Australia, where they took a group of women and they fed them flax seeds, red clover, and soy. And they found that they brought a similar change in the lining of the vagina as they expected to see in women using hormone replacement therapy. And so my ears pricked up, and that was where my journey on menopause began. So you can reach the parts, and even the research even shows that by consuming naturally occurring estrogen and doing all these amazing things, you can reduce the depths of wrinkles on your face within the space of about 12 weeks quite significantly. So it has a really good effect on you from the outside as well as the inside. There's no substitute for learning to meet your needs. I talk to women, and explain to them that the reason you're feeling the way you're feeling at the moment is you're a bit like a bucket with a hole in it. You've got these nutritional deficiencies. No one has taught you how to correct them. You didn't even know you had empty estrogen receptor sites. And the reason you need to fill those isn't just because you need to control your symptoms. When you've got empty estrogen receptor sites, they're so hungry for estrogen, they'll even take environmental estrogen, which is we call xenoestrogens. They're that come from plastic and pesticides and toxic waste, and they are harmful. They can cause an increased incidence of breast cancer. So we want Mother Nature's estrogen in those receptor sites. And in fact, if you had a race between environmental estrogen, HRT, and Mother Nature's estrogen, Mother Nature's estrogen gets into the receptor site first and seals off the space so that you're protected. And so there are lots of really good reasons to be doing this. Apart from getting over your perimenopause and menopause symptoms, you're future-proofing your health and you're protecting yourself in the long term to keep yourself in the driving seat so that you can be the best version of yourself. You can, whether you're going to work or staying at home, or you have the good fortune to be a grandparent and you can get down and dirty with your little grandchildren. You can, instead of not being able to bend down or get up off the floor, you can go out to play with them and let your inner child out and have a great time. And that's what this is about, really. It's just empowering women to get back to feeling how they should be able to feel, even though their doctor isn't telling them and they're not learning about it anywhere else in their life.
Well, I know you started off our discussion with one example, how this impacts the brain. What are some other research that you've uncovered during writing this book and your journey that you found to be very helpful with your process?
Well, there's so many pieces of research, and I can talk about the bladder, for example. So this is, and again, new research showing that if you've got a shortage of vitamin D and magnesium, you're much more likely to have bladder issues. If you're peeing a lot, you're probably doing that because the urethra and the tissues in the bladder thin, just like the vaginal tissues thin. So if you consume naturally occurring estrogen, you can plump up those tissues again, just like you do in the vagina. So not only can you can turn the factory lights back on so that you're producing the mucus cells in the vagina, the elasticity, you're getting your skin on the outside as well as the tissues on the inside back into a more youthful condition so that you feel better. You don't feel like an old lady. You feel like your younger self, and you can keep yourself in good shape because your ovaries are never going to function again once you reach menopause. And therefore, it's up to you if you want to learn how to meet your needs and put back what time and nature has taken out in terms of nutrient levels and top up your estrogen receptors with naturally occurring estrogen little and often throughout the day and evening. Obviously, that requires a bit of effort, but the payback is so amazing that most women, even after a few weeks, they see a light at the end of the tunnel and they are motivated big time because they feel so much better and they can show up being their usual energetic and happy self. A lot of women say they flatline, they can't experience joy anymore. They just don't recognize themselves. And that is so sad. It doesn't have to be like that.
Do you also see women who have gone through hormone replacement therapy and decide, hey, you know what, I don't want to do the pellets anymore or the pills, and I want to try a more natural approach? Do you work with women like that?
Yes, absolutely. And we do wean women off HRT. You shouldn't just suddenly come off HRT because you can get estrogen withdrawal symptoms. So we get them established on the program and then wean them off gradually. And even if women want to stay on HRT, they can. It's their choice. But HRT is never going to top up their nutrient levels. It's never going to help them in the way that getting the balance right in terms of nutrients in your body will. So you can do the two things together if you want to. But certainly in the 28 years I've been helping women, we've never needed to use HRT. We've had so many women through the program who've improved their bone mass, who have got better brain health. They get their memory back. They get their libido back. They don't feel anxious anymore. They've got energy. They can carry on exercising. There are just so many good things that can happen when you learn to meet your needs that women don't need to rely on HRT. And in fact, we did a survey on 1,100 women at the end of last year. And we found that this was in the UK, 37% of them were given antidepressants for menopause, and over 80% of them didn't feel it was appropriate. And 41% were given hormone replacement therapy, and 14% of them didn't want to take it because they were too scared. And of the ones who did, 61% came off because of adverse side effects. And then they were left with nothing. They were left with no help and no instructions. So I just feel that it's up to each individual woman to decide how she wants to go through her menopause journey. But the first thing she needs is knowledge. And once she's got that knowledge, she can make an informed choice. And our survey last year also showed that 90% of women want to know how to manage their menopause naturally. And why wouldn't they? You know, women want to help themselves. They don't particularly want to be, they don't necessarily want to take medication if they don't have to. And I think that's really important. And the payback is amazing. And obviously, unlike drugs and hormones and so on, there's no side effects to changing your diet and improving your lifestyle.
Yeah, those are all benefits and pluses right there for sure.
And to make longevity a great experience, you know, we're blessed with this. I mean, last weekend, my ex-mother-in-law was 100. Do you know, so many of us are blessed with these extra years. If we're crippled, there's no point. We just become a burden on everybody. And there's no reason for us to want to hang around. But if we feel well and we can still be productive, then there's every reason to be around, and you can have fun and embrace life and do all the things you want to do just after you learn to meet your needs. That's all you need to do. It's not a life sentence. It's a one-time thing that you need to do. And once you've done it, you're armed with that knowledge forever.
It seems that, you know, when I talk with my girlfriends, the number one complaint that comes up is loss of sleep. And, you know, we're up a few times during the night and can't get to sleep. Is that something that you see commonly through, you know, when you talk with your clients?
Oh, absolutely. They can't sleep because for so many reasons. One of them is the fact that they have got the hot flashes in the night. They've got the night sweats. So they've got these thermal surges that wake them up, making them feel really weird and anxious, and then suddenly very hot. So they have to throw all the bedclothes off and sometimes even get up and change. So that's one of the reasons why. But apart from that when you're short of nutrients, it's much more likely that you're going to feel anxious, have panic attacks, not be able to sleep properly. And there's so many tools that can help you have peaceful sleep again. And we find even within the space of 6 weeks, people are sleeping peacefully through the night. My assistant, Julie, who now is our customer journey manager, when she came to work for me 3 years ago, she didn't even know she was perimenopausal. And she didn't tell me at her interview that she had brain fog, but she hadn't slept for more than 2 hours for 2 years in the night in a stretch. And she was on the very first program because she helped me put it together, the 6-week program. And within the space of that 6 weeks, she was sleeping completely through the night without waking up once. She said it was just the first time she did it, she couldn't believe it. And her brain fog went and she got back to feeling more energetic. These days, she does boxing and all sorts of things. She really enjoys her life and certainly is a great asset to our team as a result of feeling really well. So there are so many paybacks, even for women. And if someone's listening to this and they haven't even gone into perimenopause is the 8 years leading up to menopause. But even if you're in your late 30s and early 40s, it's not too early to learn to meet your needs. I've certainly found that my PMS patients who I educated years ago, when it came to perimenopause and menopause, because they knew a lot about how to meet their needs, we only had to tweak what they were doing and they were on the path to managing their menopause. So the earlier you reach a point when you're in your mid-30s, about 35, when your bone mass is at its peak and your eggs then from that point on start to go downhill in number. And so even catching yourself as early as in your late 30s is a good idea if you want to stay in good shape in the long term. And it prevents so many awful things happening to you. You don't have to be one of the casualties that I see so many of in the course of my working day.
I love how your book is just filled with all these great recipes. So women have an idea of like, how can I make things that are going to improve my life? You know, sometimes the recipes can be such a great thing to have when you're looking, gosh, you know, I want to improve what I'm eating. You've got them listed here.
Yeah, we've got recipes, we've got meal plans, we've even got shopping lists. But I should also stress that for those people who don't like cooking or don't even know how to cook, there are also fast options. So you can go and get things that are already pre-prepared that fit within this program that will still help you to get symptom-free. And if you do like cooking, yes, there are tons of recipes and menu plans that you can use. And it's even good for your partner as well, because if your partner happens to be a man, contrary to the belief that they may grow breasts having naturally occurring estrogen, Asian communities have been consuming these for so many years, and it helps to prevent things like prostate cancer, and also keeps men in the driving seat in terms of preventing heart disease, dementia, and lots of other things besides. So it's, you know, you don't have to make lots of different meals for yourself and the rest of the family.
So is the 6-week program something that people can start at any time? Is there a time when they should be starting this?
Yeah, they can start any time. And the actual, obviously in the book, I give all the information that we use in our 6-week program for people to use as a self-help manual. In terms of our actual 6-week program, they can start, they go to my website, maryanstewart.com, and sign up for the program. They can actually start that any time of the day or night. And then we have live sessions every week. They can book into those. They just come along to those and meet me and my team and get their questions answered. We write a program for them individually. People using the book can write their own program. They've got all the section at the back where they start to make notes as they go through the book of how to help themselves, what they should be doing in terms of what they should eat, what they should have for each meal, snacks, which supplements they should take, how to make the particular lifestyle changes that they intend to make. So they've got their program all in one place at the back of the book. And then they've got diaries so that they can score their symptoms on a scale of 0 to 3 so that they can track their progress. Obviously, if they're doing it with the book, they're doing it by themselves. If they come on our program, then they get our help as well. But it depends. I think people who suffer moderately or mildly can certainly manage by themselves, and people who are really having a bad time and are very confused and feeling pretty bad, then probably need some hands-on help as well.
Well, I'm always one to join the group. So, I want to be part of the group that talks about what's going on and what's happening. I highly encourage our listeners to check out Manage Your Menopause Naturally. Where can our listeners connect with you and be part of your community?
Yeah, they can just go to my website. It's maryanstewart.com. And we have a virtual class as well, which is maryanstewart.com/masterclass. And they can come to that as well and get their questions answered and just come and be part of our family, come be part of our network, connect with other women. And I think that's a big part of it too, because women are often scared and feel very isolated going through this journey. We had a woman not so long ago who came on our 6-week course, and she actually cried when she said the words vaginal dryness out loud. She said she'd never said that before. And that's coming into a safe environment with people who are suffering with similar symptoms, and no one's judging you. They just all came to get themselves back into better shape. It is a fun thing to do, I have to say. And we do have a good time, as well as dealing with the serious issues. We do try and lighten it and make them feel good and get them visioning the next part of their life so that they can create a tapestry of things that they're planning to do once they're feeling well again, and then go ahead and put that into practice. And some of them even stay in touch with each other. They become friends, and as they travel through the journey, it's really interesting to see how life-changing connecting with other women can be in this kind of situation.
Yeah, without a doubt. My goodness. Well, Maryanne, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Well, thank you, Maryanne. It has been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your new book, Manage Your Menopause Naturally. Manage Your Menopause Naturally is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all indie retailers, and also you can get it at New World Library. The book is also available on Kindle, so you can download and start reading today. Again, if you'd like to connect with Maryanne, you can at maryonstewart.com for more information. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in. You're listening to Moments with Marianne. And remember, make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary. A recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Moments with Marianne airs every Sunday, Monday, Thursday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.